Back in July, I played Pokemon Black version using only PU tiered Pokemon, and man was that challenge difficult. So, it's only natural that we continue the Unova series with a new challenge. Today, we're going to take on Pokemon Black 2 version using only Bug-type Pokemon. As much as I would like to take credit for this video idea, it was actually suggested to me by a viewer. The credit for the video goes to Francis when he left a comment on my last Pokemon challenge video with the idea. Shoutouts to you, Francis, and thanks for the idea. If you have a challenge idea that you would like me to take on, leave a comment down below. Who knows, you might inspire the next video here on the channel. Alright, let's break down the premise of the challenge. I am only allowed to use bug-type Pokemon. I won't be allowed to use items in battle, and all Pokemon need nicknamed. Simple enough? Let's do this. I am super nervous going into this challenge. There are tons of answers to bug types in this game within the gym leaders and the Elite Four. You have Roxy and her poison types, you have Clay and his ground types that all have accurate rock moves, there's Skyla the flying gym, and Drayden the dragon gym leader. My only comfort is that our rival, Hugh, is a total pushover. Bug types are not known for their bulk. Sure, some of them have bulk, but they are few and far between if they're even in this game to begin with. To add insult to injury, I also don't have access to trait evolutions, so a Celgor and Escavalier are unobtainable for me. But now that that's out of the way, let's get this challenge started, and let the pain begin. I start off by picking Snivy because he's the closest thing to a bug right now. Don't worry, I will be benching him as soon as I get an actual bug-type Pokemon. Also, this means that Hugh will have an Emboar for the challenge. I'm not worried about it though, because again, Hugh is a terrible trainer. Case in point is when our Snivy almost loses to his Tepig in the first battle, and would have lost if Hugh didn't spam Tail Whip. This will be a common trend of bad decisions that Hugh makes in this playthrough. We slowly make our way to Route 20 and capture our first team member, a Seawaddle that I named Saria. Shoutouts to anyone who gets the reference. Saria is impish in nature, which boosts defense and lowers special attack, which is honestly fine with me. No complaints here. I spent some time grinding up Saria some levels and benched the Snivy. Flocesi Ranch goes by without issue, including the Hugh fight, where I started the fight with Saria at half health, and she still somehow found a way to win as Hugh kept spamming Tail Whip. Again, Hugh was handed a free win on a silver platter and still found a way to lose. When we get back to Flocesi Town, Alder stops us and brings us into this random building where for some reason there are two small children, and he asks us to battle them for his entertainment. I'm not even gonna ask. We beat the school kids in a battle and take their money, and I'd say we're ready for the gym battle. Here's the team going into the Charon fight. Let's do this. Anyone else feel like Black 2 did Charon dirty by making him not only the first gym leader, but also not letting him use his team from Black and White? Charon should have been either the 8th gym leader or a member of the Elite Four. Charon is a great character though, I just wanted more from him. Anyways, Patrat goes down in a couple of bug bites and never gets an attack off as it tried setting up the entire time. Lillipup goes down in a similar way also. Saria did a good job of tanking this battle. I'm not super optimistic about the second gym against Roxy though. She runs poison types, which resists anything that Saria wants to do to her team. We're gonna need some backup. If we're gonna take down Roxy and her poison team, we need some help. I return to Route 20 and have Tootle capture a Venipede. I name her Mistral. Shoutouts to anyone who gets the reference. Mistral is relaxed in nature, which I guess is kind of fitting. While I like the boost in defense, I don't like the reduced speed. There are a couple builds I could do with Mistral. One, I could make her an offensive member, despite her level up moveset being subpar at best. Or two, I could give her Baton Pass agility and iron defense, and make her a support member. For this gym though, I need firepower, and I know just the move to do the job. I know this is a bug type only challenge, but I have to call out Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 here for how much time it wastes, forcing you to do some activity that nobody cares about. The game starts this annoying trend off with the movie studio. Look, I don't mind there being a movie studio, I just don't like being forced to do it to progress the game. What are your thoughts on this? Leave them down below. Comments are good for the algorithm. Anyways, we grind up some levels on Audino and make our way to Roxy's gym. Here's the team going into the Roxy fight. So remember how I said we need some firepower and how Roxy's team will resist most of our moves? Our bug Pokemon do not hit very hard right now, but what if we had a move that got more powerful the more you used it? Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Roll Out. Let's do this. The battle starts off with Mistral taking on Coughing. Mistral hits a rollout for almost no damage, but tanks an assurance in return. The two trade rollouts and assurances, and Coughing goes down the fourth rollout. This is perfect. Rollout hits 5 times, and guess what's getting ready to swap into the maxed out rollout? Roxy's Ace. Whirlipede comes in, and Mistral tanks the Venoshock from it and proceeds to one-shot it with a maxed out rollout. My incredibly simple plan worked perfectly and earns us our second gym badge. On a side note, I really like Roxy's design. Pokemon always does character designs right, at least in the early pre-Generation 7 games. We take a boat to Castelia City where the third gym awaits. Before we do that, we need to expand our team a little bit. Berg doesn't scare me a whole lot, as some of his team members are weak to bug type moves, despite being a bug gym. However, before we even do that, we need to team up with Hugh to sweep through the sewers for Team Plasma, because, you know, Team Plasma evil and missing Sisters Purloin and all that good stuff. While we're in the sewers, Saria evolved into Swadloon. With the sewers out of the way, we can proceed to the third gym. While I'm clearing out the gym trainers, Mistral evolves into Whirlipede and Saria evolves into Leavanny. This will make the Berg fight so much easier. And good thing too, because the team members that I wanted to add aren't accessible until after you get the third gym badge. Here's the team going into the Berg battle. Let's do this. The Battle of the Bugs opens up with Swadloon taking on Saria. I immediately hard swap to Mistral as Swadloon goes for String Shot. Swadloon cannot deal any damage to Mistral, so I take this opportunity to set up a few iron defenses and then get rollouts going. Swadloon goes down in 3 rollouts. Dwebble is next and it prevents me from getting the clean sweep. Sturdy keeps it from being one shot, and with rollout only getting to hit 5 times and Berg using a hyper potion, Dwebble is able to stall my rollouts. Dwebble goes down to the first rollout on my second phase. That was a little annoying, but at +4 defense, I think we're in good shape. Leavanny is next and it goes down to 3 rollouts after dealing a whopping 12 damage to Mistral, winning us the fight. Rollout is putting in so much work for us right now. I know that it'll fall off at the mid-game point, but it's carrying us through the early game, and that's what matters. The third gym is ours, and the challenge is alive and well. If you thought that these 3 gyms have been easy, just wait until you see how the next gyms go. A true humbling is upon us. Now that the Gym 3 filler arc is over, we can get into some real pain and suffering as you would expect with this challenge. It starts off with a Colress fight. My team struggles with taking down steel types for obvious reasons, but Colress thankfully goes down without much trouble here. Before we go and take on Elisa for the 4th badge, we need reinforcements for the team. So I head to the desert resort and capture a Dwebble. I name her Hilda. Shoutouts to anyone who gets the reference. Hilda is sassy in nature, which isn't bad. I don't care about a Dwebble that has reduced speed, as she was going to be super slow regardless. So trading speed for some extra special defense is perfectly fine with me. The weird thing about the 4th gym is that you have to take on basically 2 gyms. You have to go through the original gym from Black and White just to learn that your gym leader is in another castle. You then go through the main gym and fight your way through the NPCs. Here's the team going into the Elisa fight. Honestly, I'm super nervous about this fight. We may have Hilda with a rock type move, but that will only help us with the Emolga. Elisa's team has super effective moves on most of her team for all of my members, and her team outspeeds most of mine. This is going to be a rough one. Let's do this. The The battle starts off with Emolga versus Mistral. Emolga Volt switches to Zebstrika as Mistral goes for rollout. Zebstrika goes for Pursuit for some odd reason and gets poisoned off Poison Point. Mistral goes down next turn to a Flame Charge as Zebstrika goes down to about 2/3 of its health after poison damage. Saria comes in next and takes massive damage from a Flame Charge. Razor Leaf takes it down to yellow and Saria goes down to another Flame Charge. Hilda is next and Elisa heals Zebstrika, basically sealing our fate. Hilda sets up Stealth Rocks just in case she wants to start Volt switching again and Emolga comes out. Zebstrika, for some reason, goes for Pursuit again and does almost no damage as Hilda does a small chunk with a Bug Bite. Zebstrika then goes for a Quick Attack for some reason and does almost no damage to Hilda, and she takes it down to red health. Zebstrika then finally decides to go for a normal, logical move and goes for Volt Switch, dropping Hilda to low health and swaps to Flaffy. Hilda takes it down to yellow health with a Smackdown and Bug Bite, but goes down to a Volt Switch. Honestly, not a terrible first attempt. Second attempt, and we lead off with a Mistral versus Emolga rematch. Emolga Volt switches to Zebstrika as Mistral sets up an Iron Defense. Zebstrika continues to defy all logic and goes for a Quick Attack on a +2 defense Whirlipede and does a whopping 6 damage. Mistral goes for Bug Bite and does a little damage, but steals and consumes Zebstrika's Citrus Berry. Zebstrika, proving that not all IQs are equal, goes for Pursuit for another 6 damage as Mistral starts going for rollouts. Zebstrika then gets poisoned after another Quick Attack is used, and poison damage takes it to under half health. Zebstrika goes down another turn later after using Pursuit and taking poison damage and a third rollout. I'm not gonna lie, that might just be the dumbest 1v1 battle I have ever seen. Flaffy is next and it goes for a Volt switch immediately and drops Mistral down to 5 HP. Emolga gets swapped in and immediately sent back to the Stone Age with a 4th use rollout. Flaffy comes back in and drops Mistral with the Volt switch. Saria is next and gets paralyzed by Thunder Wave and fully parried. Flaffy misses the takedown and Saria connects a Razor Leaf to deal a nice chunk of damage, taking Flaffy down to yellow health. Flaffy misses another takedown and Saria takes it down with another Razor Leaf, winning us the 4th gym badge. That was the dumbest gym battle I have ever seen. I had absolutely no right winning that match, but Elisa decided to make every single bad decision possible. We take those though. If you thought this match was gonna be hard, just wait for the clay fight. It's time once again to upgrade the team by recruiting a new team member. We signed to the roster a 5-star recruit in Joltik, fresh out of Chargestone Cave. His name is Excelsis. Shoutouts to anyone who gets the reference. Excelsis is quirky in nature, which I will never complain about. Again, it's always better to have a neutral nature than to have a nature that cripples him on. We spend some time grinding up Excelsis to par with the squad. During the grind, Mistral evolves into Scolipede. Shoutouts to the Wild Audino. They make grinding in this slow Gen 5 experience tolerable. Anyways, let's head to the gym. While I'm going through Clay's gym, let's talk about the upcoming battle. Clay's team terrifies me to say the least. His team is fast, especially his Excadrill, and all of them have rock type moves that will completely body my squad. Besides Hilda, the team does not have any bulk to it, which is a common problem for bug types. Anyways, here's the team going into the Clay fight. I'm gonna need some good Rock Slide RNG to survive this fight. Let's do this. The Clay fight starts off with Saria taking on Krokorok. Saria drops Krokorok to about 1/3 of his health as it goes for a Torment. I get a little greedy here and hard swap to Excelsis to preserve Saria for later in this fight. Krokorok goes for Crunch and drops Excelsis to about half health. Excelsis outspeeds and goes for Bug Bite, dropping the Krokorok. Excadrill is next and the battle is fun while it lasted. I hard swap to Mistral as Excadrill goes for Rock Slide and one-shots her. That was a bad play on my end. I was expecting Excadrill to go for a ground type move, which would let Mistral set up an Iron Defense. The rest of the battle from here was a massacre, as Excadrill 2-shots Hilda drops Saria in 3 hits after tanking 2 Razor Leafs, and one-shots Excelsis. That was rough. Second attempt, and I lead Mistral to try to set up iron defenses to be able to hopefully take on Clay's Excadrill. I get Mistral up to +5 defense and start taking the offensive. Croc goes down without issue, and Excadrill comes in, and everything goes wrong. Excadrill flinches with Rock Slide turn 1, Mistral couldn't attack turn 2 because of Torment, then goes down turn 3 to Rock Slide after not landing a single hit on Excadrill. The rest of the battle was same as attempt 1. Third attempt, and I try to lead Excelsis to protect Mistral and Saria from Croc's Intimidate ability. Excelsis is able to take down the Croc, but that was a mistake because Excadrill just came in and swept my team before I could set anyone up. Unfortunately for me, this team just cannot compete with Clay at this point, so I need to do some grinding. We don't do any damage to the Excadrill, and it 2-shots anything on the team. During the grind, Excelsis evolved into Galvantula, and Hilda evolves into Crustle. Here's the team going into the rematch. Let's do this. 5th attempt, and we get this run. The battle opens up with Excelsis versus Krokorok. Excelsis one-shots the Krokorok with a Signal Beam right out of the gate. Excadrill is next and takes down Excelsis in a couple moves after getting hit with a couple weak Bug-type moves. Mistral is second, and I have her start setting up Iron Defense as Excadrill goes for a Bulldoze. I have Mistral set up a second Iron Defense as Excadrill does a little bit with a Rock Slide. Mistral goes down after a few more Rock Slides, but not before dropping Excadrill to low health with Bug Bites. I would like to just point out though that Excadrill has yet to miss a single Rock Slide in all of these attempts. My RNG luck with avoiding moves is terrible. Saria is up next, and she drops the Excadrill with the Razor Leaf. Sandslash is last, and goes down to a couple Razor Leafs after doing a sliver of damage to Saria with a Bulldoze, winning us the 5th gym badge. That was a rough battle. Unfortunately for us, the next gym is a flying type gym. An entire gym battle where every mon we face will have type advantage against us. Remember, all of the team members are primary bug type, meaning even Hilda is weak to flying moves and doesn't resist despite being a rock secondary typing. This might be rough. Before we head to the 6th gym, it's time to add another member to the team. We head to Relic Castle now that we have strength and capture ourselves a Volcarona. Did you know that you can encounter a Volcarona this early in Black 2? I did not know that until I researched available bug types during this challenge's pre-production. It took nearly every Pokeball I owned, but we captured the Volcarona. I name him Atem. Shoutouts to anyone who gets the reference. Atem is gentle in nature, which is not ideal. While I like the extra special defense for him, I do not like that it comes at the cost of his defense stat. Hopefully this works out for us. I've never ran a Volcarona before during a base game, so I'm hoping for the best. Speaking of team members, I go out and add the final member of the squad to the team. I return to Lostlorn Forest and capture a Heracross. I name him Armstrong. Shouts to anyone who gets the reference. Armstrong is jolly in nature, which is super good for us. Reducing his special attack to boost his speed is incredible. Armstrong is going to be a massive hard-hitting member of this team, so I'm excited to have him on the squad. So here is the squad. We have Saria, Hilda, Mistral, Excelsis, Armstrong, and Atem. Without looking anything up, leave a comment down below letting me know where each of these names came from. I think this is an easy one to pick up on for these characters. Atem might confuse some people, but the other 5 should be fine. We spent some time training up the team and breeze through a brief Team Plasma arc on the airship and head to the 6th gym battle. There isn't really much to go over as the Skyla fight happens very shortly after the Clay battle. Here's the team going into the Skyla fight. This team is about as good of a bug type team as you could build in this game without trading or using National Dex Pokemon. I really like this team's type diversity. We have electric, poison, rock, fire, grass, and fighting. The only problem is that all team members are primary bug type, so flying, rock, and fire will always be super effective against us. Anyways, hopefully Skyla isn't too difficult, but being that she has some powerful flying type moves on her team, I'm not super optimistic. The Skyla fight is underway, and our first attempt begins with Excelsis versus Swoobat. Excelsis opens with a Volt Switch after tanking a Heart Stamp. I swapped in Hilda. Skyla uses a Hyper Potion as Hilda connects a powerful Rock Slide to one-shot Swoobat. Skarmory is next, and I have Hilda tank a Steel Wing and set up Stealth Rocks. I let Hilda go down to Skarmory so that I can get the safe switch into a Tem. A Tem goes for Fire Spin, crits, and one-shots the Skarmory. That was huge. Last up is Swanna, and I have a Tem start going for String Shots so the rest of my team can outspeed this thing. Before going down, a Tem goes for Fire Spin to get some residual damage going. Excelsis comes back in, outspeeds Swanna, and one-shots it with Electro Ball, winning us the battle and our 6th gym badge. On the first try. That went very well. Thankfully for me, Gen 5 flying types are ass, and Excelsis was on the team. I told you he was a 5-star prospect. There's quite a bit of traveling that you do between the 6th and 7th gyms, but nothing worth mentioning came up, so I'll just skip past them. Unless you really care about Bianca and her Heatran hunt, in which case, you should absolutely play Black 2 and White 2, one of the greatest Pokemon games ever made. Way better than the slop we get today. I will also point out though, that in Celestial Tower, we got the lucky egg from Professor Juniper. This will be huge in helping reduce the grind time that we spend with this team. Good thing too, because grinding in Gen 5 is super slow, even with the Odd No, which are really nice by the way. Oh yeah, I forgot that there was another Hugh battle in Undella Town. As always though, he goes down without issue. After walking past the legendary Pokemon and clearing out the trainers, we arrive in Opelucid City. I decided to clear out Route 9, then spend some time grinding to get the team up some levels. I wanted to grind because Drayden is a bit of a tough gym leader, but also because we have the main Team Plasma arc coming up, and I want to get through all of that without having to grind a little bit here and a little bit there. I just wanted to do one final grind here to push us through the rest of the game. Hopefully. Here's the thing about the Drayden fight. Dragon types might resist most of our moves, but they also don't have very many super effective moves against us. Drayden likes to set up, so if I can deal with his team before he sweeps me after a couple Dragon Dances, things should be fine. However, we won't really know until we start the battle. Luckily for me though, I have a plan. Here's the team going into the Drayden fight. Let me know your thoughts on this team down below. Let's do this. The battle starts off with a Tem taking on Drayden's Dredagon. A Tem opens by going for a Will-O-Wisp, while Dredagon goes for Crunch and does little damage. I then have a Tem trap the Dredagon with a Fire Spin. The setup is now complete. I hard swap to Hilda and have her start going for Shell Smashes, while Dredagon struggles to deal any damage to us. We use Shell Smash 3 times, getting Hilda to +6 speed, attack, and special attack, while lowering her to -3 defense and special defense. Hilda then proceeded to outspeed and one-shot Dredagon with Rock Slide, Flygon with X-Scissor, and Haxorus with X-Scissor, winning us the 7th gym badge. I don't want to hear any complaints about being 2 levels higher than Drayden's ace. That sweep was happening even if Hilda and friends were level 45. My plan worked perfectly though. Gotta love being able to punish the burns, right? Before we can celebrate our victory, where a team of bug types took down a Dragon Master without a single member going down, Team Plasma shows up with some flying pirate ship and drops ice bombs on the city, no doubt killing countless people and wounding countless more. Luckily for us though, this game was made for children, so not one single person got so much as a scratch. We clear out Team Plasma and battle Zinzolin for the millionth time. Why is he the only Plasma leader in this game? Unfortunately, in order to proceed past Undella Town, we need Surf. So I have to capture Golduck, teach it Surf, then bench a team member and proceed through the next part of the game a man down. On the positive side though, the 8th and final gym in the game is very shortly after Gym 7, so it's not like we have to play a whole lot while we're down a team member. We arrive in Humalao City, and I gotta say, I love this city so much. I love the design and aesthetics so much. It's so unique from the normal towns that you see in Pokemon games. Also, the music is super chill. Humalao City also has my favorite gym in the series. 1, because its theme is super good, and 2, the design of the puzzle and the gym itself is really cool. Anyways, we have a battle to win. Personally, I'm not worried about this gym. My bugs match up really well against water types, especially since we have Excelsis and Saria on the squad. Here's the team going into the Marlin fight. I didn't even bother healing the team after battling all the trainers. Let's just get this over with. The Marlin fight opens up with Caracosta versus Excelsis. Excelsis gets a Thunder Wave off, and Caracosta gets fully parried the same turn. Excelsis then goes for Electro Ball and drops Caracosta down to 1 HP, but Sturdy kept it standing. Caracosta got fully paralyzed again for a second turn in a row. Marlin used the Hyper Potion as Excelsis goes for Signal Beam. Caracosta falls the next turn to an Electro Ball. So far so good. Next up is Wailord, and I have Excelsis Thunder Wave it, and Wailord gets fully paralyzed. 3 straight turns where Marlin's team cannot attack. Incredible RNG right now. Excelsis then one-shots the Wailord with Electro Ball, and then levels up and learns Discharge over Electro Ball. Last up is Jellicent, and Excelsis crits Discharge and paralyzes it, leaving it with a sliver of health. Excelsis tanks a Scald and drops Jellicent the next turn, winning us our final gym badge. Like I said, Excelsis was a 5-star recruit for a reason. Dude just swept the final gym in Black 2. He's a menace. Easy gym battle, but now it's time for the Team Plasma arc where we get a rematch with Getsis. For those of you who watched my Pokemon Black version using only PU tiered Pokemon, the Getsis fight was a nightmare for me. I won't talk too much about it, but if you haven't seen that video, you absolutely should. I'm pointing this out because I want revenge for all the pain that I suffered through because of him. First though, we need to do more airship filler. The airship isn't that hard. It's just long and slow, and finding the right warp pads is a little slow, but still not that hard. It isn't annoying or anything, just slow. You do have to respect though how Gen 5 used legendary Pokemon. In Black and White, the villain team captured one of them and threatened everyone with it. In Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, they capture one and turn it into a weapon that they want to use to take over the world. Generation 5 really was peak Pokemon. Don't get me wrong, Generation 4 is still the best generation, but from a story perspective, you have to give it to Gen 5. We battle Zinzolin again and get kicked off the airship. We run off into the woods and board the flying pirate ship again. This time we face off against Colress. However, before we battle Colress, we have to battle Zinzolin again. Let's just skip to Colress. The Colress fight opens up with Magneton versus Armstrong. Armstrong hits a Brick Break for massive damage as Magneton Volt switches to Magnezone. Armstrong hits another powerful Brick Break to take Magnezone down to Sturdy as Magnezone hits a Thunder Wave to paralyze Armstrong. Colress heals up Magnezone, and Armstrong pushes through paralysis to drop Magnezone back down to red health. Magnezone then goes for Explosion, and surprisingly doesn't do much damage to Armstrong. Beheeyem is next, and drops Armstrong with a Psychic. Saria is next for me, and one-shots the Beheeyem with X-Scissor. Metang is out, and goes for Agility as Saria drops it to nearly half health with an X-Scissor. Metang goes for Meteor Mash and, of course, gets the attack boost. Then connects a Rock Slide for massive damage. I'm just surprised Saria survived. Saria drops it next turn with X-Scissor. Kling Klang is up next and drops Saria with a Giga Impact after taking a little damage from Leaf Blade. I send out a Tem and go for Fire Spin for a good chunk of damage. Kling Kling has to recharge a turn and goes down to another Fire Spin. Magneton comes back out, and Atem cleans it up with a Fire Spin, defeating Colress and winning us the battle. That wasn't so bad, but only because we had Atem in the back with a decent Fire-type move. If we didn't have Atem and Armstrong, who knows how this battle would have gone. This was just the appetizer though. The main course is coming up. We head for Ghetsis in the Ice Cavern, but first we have a boss fight. This is peak Generation 5. Ghetsis summons his Kyurem and uses it to bait out End from hiding, which he then uses the DNA splicers to fuse Kyurem with End's Zekrom to make Kyurem Black. Seriously, if you've never played this game before, you absolutely should. The battle against Kyurem Black begins, and I lead Atem. Atem takes massive damage from Slash and connects a Will-O-Wisp to burn it. Kyurem goes for Fusion Bolt and does a decent amount to Atem, and Atem follows it up with a Fire Spin to get more residual damage going. I hard swap to Hilda to stall off the Kyurem as it goes down to burn and Fire Spin damage. Kyurem goes for Freeze Shock and doesn't even do half of Hilda's health and goes down to an X-Scissor. That wasn't so bad. But now, it's time for the real battle to begin. The rematch with Ghetsis begins and opens with Atem versus Cofagrigus. We open up by burning the Cofagrigus and setting up a Fire Spin on it while it spams Protect and poisons Atem. I hard swap to Hilda, just in case I need Atem for later. Hilda goes for a Shell Smash as Cofagrigus goes for Shadow Ball, dealing almost half of her health. Hilda drops the Cofagrigus next turn as Ghetsis sends in Seismitoad. Hilda, the MVP that she is, crits the Seismitoad with the X-Scissor and one-shots it. Hydreigon is next, and Hilda outspeeds it and also one-shots it with X-Scissor. That felt so good. Drapion is next, and Hilda connects a Rock Slide to drop it to red health. Ghetsis heals it up, and Hilda drops it with two X-Scissors after tanking a Night Slash. Eelektross is up next for Ghetsis, and Hilda drops it to red health with an X-Scissor before Eelektross drops her with a Flamethrower. Hilda just put up one hell of a fight. Excelsis comes out and drops the Eelektross with a Signal Beam. Toxicroak is last and tries to go for Sucker Punch. Unfortunately for him though, it didn't work because I had Excelsis go for Thunder Wave to paralyze it. Toxicroak gets fully paralyzed after Excelsis hits a discharge for about a third of its health. Excelsis drops it to red as Toxicroak goes for Poison Jab and poisons him, and Excelsis finishes it off next turn with a discharge, finishing off Ghetsis and winning the battle on our first try. I cannot describe how nice that feels after all the pain I experienced in the last challenge. If we're being honest though, they did nerf Ghetsis' team really hard though. After we take down Ghetsis and Team Plasma, it's time to head to Victory Road. I spent some time clearing out Victory Road and getting the team a couple final levels from all the trainers. I don't grind for experience though, as the Lucky Egg has been great at keeping the team at acceptable levels. There is one final Hue battle, but nothing really happens as usual. It's time for the Elite Four. Some of them are not that intimidating, while others terrify me. Here is the team going into the Elite Four. Let me know your final thoughts on the team down below. Let's do this. My strategy with the Elite Four is simple. Take on the easy members first to give the team some extra experience going into the others. Simple as that. First up is Grimsley, and I lead off with Excelsis against his Liepard. I start off with some misplays, as after the turn 1 fake out from Liepard, I tried to paralyze it, but forgot that it got limber. Liepard punishes my stupidity by critting a Night Slash, taking Excelsis down to red health. Excelsis goes for Thunderbolt, dropping the Liepard to low yellow health before Liepard takes him down. Rough start. Now that I know what this Liepard is armed with, I have Hilda set up 2 Shell Smashes while tanking 2 Night Slashes. The next turn, Hilda drops Liepard with X-Scissor. Hilda isn't done yet though, as she one-shots Scrafty, Crocodile, and Bisharp with X-Scissor, winning us round 1. Rough start, but solid finish. Let's keep it going. Second is Caitlyn, and the battle opens up with Musharna versus Excelsis. Excelsis opens up by thunder waving the Musharna and getting paralyzed himself due to synchronize. Musharna tried to go for Yawn, but it failed because of the paralysis on Excelsis. So I will just pretend that I knew that would happen and that I'm a genius. Fun fact, when I wrote this script, I misspelled genius. The jokes just write themselves. I hard swap to Saria, and she tanks a charge beam. Saria sets up a swords dance as Musharna lands a yawn. Saria sets up a second swords dance as Musharna tried to yawn again for some reason. However, I was expecting Caitlyn to make the yawn play, so I gave Saria a Chesto Berry before the battle started. Now, instead of falling asleep, Saria is at +4 attack and just wasted 2 turns of Musharna's time. I think we all know where this goes from here, right? Saria one-shots Musharna, Sigalith, Reuniclus, and Gothitelle. That was easy. Excelsis is having a rough couple of battles, though. Third is Chantal, and this is where the matches start to get scary. I don't really have much to deal with ghost types, so I'm just hoping for a win of any kind. The battle opens up with Atem taking on her Cofagrigus. Atem opens with his standard Will-O-Wisp Fire Spin combo, while Cofagrigus goes for a couple Shadow Balls, taking him down to below half health. I have Atem go for Silver Wind to try and get the stat boosts, but that fails, and he goes down to red health from a Shadow Ball. Still, not a bad start though, even if Chantal went for a full restore afterwards. I have Atem burn the Cofagrigus one more time before he goes down. Cofagrigus was only a sliver of health away from going down, man. I send out Mistral next. She does a little damage with a Steamroller, but gets burned by Will-O-Wisp shortly after. That's okay though, as Mistral is just trying to stall this thing out until burn damage takes it out. Mistral is only able to take it down to around a quarter of its health, though, before she goes down to Psychics and burn damage. Another rough start already. The legendary Excelsis is out, and he immediately drops the Cofagrigus with a Thunderbolt. Chandelure is out next, and I have Excelsis get the Thunder Wave off before he gets one shot by Chandelure's Fire Blast. This is not good. Fourth is Hilda, and I have her land a Rock Slide for massive damage. Unfortunately, Chandelure survives with a sliver of health and drops Hilda down to low health. Why am I always a sliver of damage away from dropping Chantal's members? This would be a whole different battle if Cofagrigus and Chandelure could have taken just a little bit more damage. Hilda isn't done though, and she lands a second Rock Slide to drop the Chandelure. Golurk is next, and he immediately revenges Hilda with a Shadow Punch. Saria is fifth. I know that this Golurk won't do much to Saria, so I start having her set up a Swords Dance, because if I'm gonna win this match, I need to swing for game right now. Saria goes for 2 Sword Dances to get to +4 attack, while tanking 2 Shadow Punches from Golurk. Saria then one-shots the Golurk the next turn, and did a ton of damage to the Drifblim before going down to Acrobatics. This is bad. Last up on my team is Armstrong, who does just enough damage with an Aerial Ace to finish off the Drifblim, winning us our 3rd match against the Elite Four. That was rough. The worst part about this is that Chantal isn't even the toughest member of the Elite Four for this team. Let's just get this over with and hope we aren't here all night. Last up is Marshall, who is by far the toughest member of the Elite Four for bug types. All of his members are fast and possess either a powerful rock or flying type move. I need to play this very carefully if I'm going to win. The match starts with Armstrong taking on Throw. I decide to take Marshall very aggressively out of the gate and have Armstrong set up a couple workups while Throw does very little to us with Rock Tombs. The problem though is that Rock Tomb is lowering Armstrong's speed, which means he won't be able to outspeed and sweep his team. Armstrong goes for Aerial Ace and takes Throw down to low HP. This is what I was hoping for, as I wanted Marshall to waste his full restore on the Throw instead of his Conkeldurr or Mienshao. A couple turns later, and Throw goes down to Aerial Ace. Mienshao is next and immediately goes for Bounce, which is able to drop Armstrong. I realized that Mienshau's only super effective move against us is bounce, and I had an idea. I send out a Tem and have him go for fly. Turns out that Mienshao and a Tem are speed tied, and a Tem wins every single speed tie and is able to take down Mienshao while completely avoiding his bounces for a damageless takedown. That was incredible. Conkeldurr is next, and this thing terrifies me. Conkeldurr has guts, which means he does even more damage than normal when he has a status condition, so I can't burn or paralyze this thing. I have a Tem go for fly, but the following Stone Edge afterwards completely bodied him. Excelsis is third for the team, and I have him go for a solid Thunderbolt, which takes Conkeldurr down to low health, but the Citrus Berry healed him back up to half health, and the Conkeldurr misses the Stone Edge that would have one-shot Excelsis. That was a lucky break again. Excelsis goes for Thunderbolt and drops him to low red health, but also accidentally paralyzed him. Oh no. Conkeldurr's new Roid Rage kicks in, and he one-shot Excelsis from full HP with a Stone Edge. Saria is up, and I take a massive risk here and go for Swords Dance, banking on Conkeldurr being fully paralyzed, which he doesn't, and proceeded to one-shot Saria with Stone Edge. He even crit her for the disrespect. That was such a bad play. Saria was faster and should have just dropped the Conkeldurr. Marshall's last member is a Sock anyways, who has Sturdy and Acrobatics. So what was Saria gonna do? It hurt me to edit this part of the video. Fifth is Mistral, and I make the smart play this time and have her finish off the Conkeldurr. Last is Sock, and I take another big risk and land a Toxic on Sock. I did that to put Sock on a timer. Sock has Acrobatics, but for some reason went for Payback to deal almost no damage. I thought for sure I had lost when Saria went down. However, Marshall's misplay here gave me a slight bit of hope. I have Mistral go for Iron Defense just to help tank, but Sock connects a Rock Slide and takes her down. Last is Hilda for the true 1v1. Sock connects a Rock Slide to deal slightly under half health, and Hilda followed up with an X Scissor to bring him down to under half health when combined with poison damage. Marshall says that everything comes down to this next move, which he is 100% right on. This is the final turn of the battle. Sock connects a Rock Slide to drop my Hilda, my final team member, to 27 HP. Hilda then connects a Rock Slide of her own to take Sock down to red health, where poison damage finishes him off and wins us our final Elite Four battle. That was a crazy battle. It came down to the wire, and when things got tough, Hilda came in clutch with the insane 1v1 win over Sock. Now, there is only one battle left, the battle against the champion. This is the only battle in the way of me saying that I beat Pokemon Black 2 with only bug-type Pokemon. The final battle has begun, and it opens up with Armstrong taking on Iris's Hydreigon. I take the aggressive play out of the gate and have Armstrong set up a workup. Hydreigon went for a flamethrower to deal more than half of his health, but the Citrus Berry I gave him heals him back up a decent amount. I get greedy here though and have Armstrong go for a second workup. Here's my reasoning for it. I know flamethrower only does a little over half his health. I also know that Armstrong outspeeds most of her team. I don't intend on Armstrong to get the complete sweep, but I wanted him to do some serious damage. However, Hydreigon crit the next flamethrower and dropped Armstrong before I could get a single attack off. Yep, that one's on me. Second is Excelsis, who gets a quick Thunder Wave off to paralyze the Hydreigon. I get some luck thrown back at me as Hydreigon gets fully paralyzed that same turn. More luck comes my way as Excelsis takes Hydreigon down to under half health with a Signal Beam, and Hydreigon gets fully paralyzed for a second turn in a row. Excelsis finishes the Hydreigon off next turn and learns Bug Buzz on the level up. Dredagon is second, and Excelsis outspeeds it and paralyzes it with Thunder Wave. Dredagon connects a massive Rock Slide though to one-shot Excelsis. Mistral is third and goes for a Steamroller to flinch the Dredagon. I've got a good pair of flinch set up on the Druddigon. It's also my best play here instead of trying to set up on this thing. The next turn, Mistral was able to get a second flinch in a row, taking it down to under half health. Mistral still isn't messing around and got the turn 3 flinch on Druddigon, taking her down to low health. This is amazing. Iris goes for her full restore, but I was expecting that, so I had Mistral go for Toxic to poison it and put it on a timer. Not as ideal as the Paraflinch setup, but it's better than nothing. Druddigon doesn't flinch the next turn though, and connects a Dragon Tail to force out Mistral into Saria. Saria is my win con for this match, but she cannot pull off the win without her strength boosted. So, I have her set up a Swords Dance on her first turn in, but Druddigon connected a massive flamethrower to one-shot her. I honestly did not think that would one-shot her. I thought for sure she could hold on from at least one. I send out Mistral and she connects a Steamroller to revenge drop the Druddigon. That was big. If he survived that, Mistral definitely would have gone down. Archeops is next, and this is where I know I've lost. Archeops outspeeds and drops Mistral with the crit acrobatics. The crit didn't matter. Atem is 5th, and Archeops immediately one-shot him with the Rock Slide. Last is Hilda, who takes slightly over half health from an acrobatics, and I have her set up a Shell Smash for one last Hail Mary. Archeops then misses a Rock Slide, finally, and Hilda connects a massive Rock Slide of her own to drop the Archeops. Lapras is 4th, and Hilda connected another massive Rock Slide to one-shot the Lapras. This is insane. However, the joy would be short-lived as Aggron is 5th, tanks the X-Scissor, and finishes off Hilda. All things considered, that was a good fight from the team. I just need to play a little less aggressive and we might be able to pull this off. Let's go again. Next attempt, and I open up with Armstrong versus Hydreigon once again. I also once again have Armstrong set up a workup as Hydreigon lands another flamethrower, which drops Armstrong to under half health, which he then heals a part of it back with a Citrus Berry again. I once again get greedy and have Armstrong set up a second workup, and Hydreigon once again crits the flamethrower to one-shot Armstrong. Second is Mistral this time. I need to switch up my strategy here or else I'm just going to end up with the same outcome as the last battle. Mistral connects a Steamroller to deal half health. Our girl isn't messing around though, as she flinches the Hydreigon and drops it the next turn with another Steamroller. Iris sends out Druddigon second, and I, once again, have Mistral poison it. Druddigon landed a massive flamethrower on Mistral, but our girl tanks it. She swallowed the hit and asked, "Is that all?" and survived with 19 HP. She goes down to Rock Slide the next turn, but not before connecting one last Steamroller for a chunk of damage. Combined with toxic damage, Druddigon was left with a little over half health. Atem is 3rd, and I have him go for Fly, not because it does good damage, but because it lets me Toxic Stall the Druddigon. Druddigon does connect the Rock Slide the next turn to one-shot Atem, but poison damage dropped the Druddigon with him before Iris could heal it back up. Nice job, Atem. I make a massive read here and predict that Iris will send out Archeops next and go out to Excelsis 4th. It turns out I was right, and Iris did send out Archeops. This is big for me. Excelsis outspeeds the Archeops and lands an Electric Gem boosted Thunderbolt to nuke the Archeops back to the ancient times from whence it came. 4th for Iris is Aggron. It's a 3v3 now. Excelsis lands a big Thunder Wave to paralyze the Aggron. My entire team is already faster than Aggron. I just want a chance to steal a turn from it, because nothing I have survives a Rock Slide from this thing. Aggron makes a very odd play and goes for Automatize to sharply boost its speed. Iris is going for game here. Excelsis made sure to punish Iris and her Aggron for that misplay as he proceeded to one-shot the Aggron with a crit Thunderbolt. Remember how I was saying Excelsis was a 5-star recruit? This is why. I'm the only one who believed in him. I know all of you watching were criticizing me for running him on the squad in an offensive role. However, I have long-term vision, and I knew he would put in work all playthrough, which he did. It's now 3-2. Haxorus is next. Excelsis goes for another Thunder Wave to paralyze the Haxorus, as she goes for Dragon Dance. Once again, Iris is swinging for game here. Even with the speed boost, Excelsis still outspeeds the Haxorus and crits another Thunderbolt to drop Haxorus to red health as Haxorus gets fully paralyzed. This is an insane battle. Iris goes for the full restore next turn, which I saw coming, of course, from a mile away, and went for Thunder Wave again. Excelsis goes for a Bug Buzz to drop Haxorus to almost half health. Haxorus then goes for a Dragon Dance again, and even at +2 speed, Excelsis still outspeeds. Unfortunately though, I misclicked and went for Bug Buzz again when I meant to go for Thunderbolt. Oh well, Excelsis tore Iris' team apart. I am proud of him. It's time to bring this one home. With the score tied 2-2, I send out Hilda. I couldn't remember how many full restores Iris has, but I had Hilda go for X-Scissor just in case. I couldn't risk setting up a Shell Smash and have Haxorus attack that same turn in the event that she didn't heal. Thankfully, Iris didn't heal the Haxorus, and Hilda was able to outspeed and take it down. Last up for Iris is her Lapras. Lapras misses the Sing, and Hilda lands a big Rock Slide to drop the Lapras down to yellow health. I just need one more turn. Lapras then takes the offensive and goes for Surf, taking Hilda down to low health. Hilda then responds by connecting one final Rock Slide to finish off the Lapras and win us the challenge using only Bug-type Pokemon. What a crazy challenge. When I embarked on this challenge, I thought it was going to be slow and painful, because when you think of running only Bug-type Pokemon in Generation 5 or earlier, you think of Pokemon that don't have a lot of bulk and aren't the hardest hitters around. However, this challenge was so much fun. My Bugs really showed their might this playthrough and made known that when you pair them with solid strategies and preparations, they can take on any challenge that comes their way. I want to give a huge thank you again to Francis, who suggested this challenge in the comments section of my last Pokemon challenge video. You rock, man. Thanks for your continued support here on the channel. If you made it this far in the video and have a video suggestion of your own, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. It gives me future ideas for videos and supports the channel at the same time. Speaking of supporting the channel, if you enjoyed this video and want to see videos like this one, consider giving it a like and leaving a comment down below. If you enjoy the content here on the channel and want to stick around for what's to come, you should subscribe so you don't miss out. I live stream here on the channel 3 days a week, and we would love to have you a part of this community. If you enjoy Pokemon Challenge videos, you should check out my videos on Pokemon Platinum or Pokemon Black, where I take on those games using the worst Pokemon available. If you enjoyed this video, I'm confident you'll enjoy those videos as well. I'll leave a link to them on the end card of this video and in the description down below. I would like to give one final thank you to anyone who made it this far in the video. Whether you watched a little bit of this video or the entire video in one sitting or multiple viewings, your support means the world to me. Thank you for supporting a small channel like this one, and I hope you have a blessed rest of your day. I will see you all soon, and until next time, bye for now.